Hello and welcome to Dr. Showcares. I'm Dr. Tunu Johnson-Sogbetun, a UK-based GP with a special interest in women's health and the menopause. This advocacy and education platform was really started with the aim of raising awareness on many issues that affect women's health. And this particular first topic is so close to my heart because it really was the launching pad for this particular advocacy platform, because I see daily in my work the impact of the mental load that women carry on their physical and mental health, and also on the hormonal variations that they experience throughout their lives. And I consider it to be a burgeoning healthcare emergency because I see so many women at burnout or just at the stage before burnout. And I have decided that it's something that I need to raise the alarm about. So, what is this mental health? So, still in 2023, women are carrying a disproportionate mental load in society compared to men. And this is not to say that men also don't have a heavy mental load, but it's saying that women are still carrying more in for most of society. It's that even if we get help with the doing, we're still having to do much of the thinking. And that's what the invisible mental load of strategic thinking and logistical planning in both the home and professional environments that pile on this mental load. And this is not just for women who are married or have children. I've seen it with all different types of women in all different ages. Women are just expected to handle more because they're perceived at being better at multitasking and these finer logistical details. And this heavy mental load can negatively impact women's hormonal variations and all the symptoms that come with that. And we'll talk about that more in a bit. So there are two really important concepts. There's capability versus capacity. And women are generally very capable. However, there is a finite capacity, and each woman would have a different capacity. So we can't just keep piling on and piling on and piling on because people are capable, because at some point they will burn out. And this is what I see. And so many women are actually living at the top of their capacity that it just takes one issue, a bereavement, something unexpected, and they're at burnout. And this is why I'm sounding the alarm on this issue. So, why is this important? I've just said this heavy mental load has significant impact on women's physical and mental health. Chronic stress releases hormones in the body, and this is coming from the heavy mental load that increases the risk of adverse health outcomes. And this includes anxiety, depression, suicidality, obesity, heart disease, and even certain cancers. The heavy mental load also hinders women from achieving self actualization and realizing their potential. And this is to the detriment of society. So, what drives this mental load? So, there is the historic patriarchal society which prevailed and continues to be prevalent in many parts of the world. But there are also what I term the weights, and these are more nuanced and highly personal and sensitive, which makes conversations about them challenging, particularly in the complex, idealized world that we live in. And that's the weight of history, family, and cultural expectation. And this also includes the weight of the general women's right movement, where women have kind of been taught that they can have it all, which is true, but the qualification is perhaps not all at the same time. And women, I need to realize that we have a whole lifetime to have it all. And it's very difficult. And sometimes that weight sits very, very heavy alongside other family and cultural expectations. There's also the weight of comparison with false equivalence. So, in particular, we're looking at social media, we're looking at celebrity culture, we're looking at magazines, we're looking at the news, and we're having all these expectations of ourselves. But people have whole armies that are helping them achieve this. And we are comparing ourselves with apples and oranges. It's a false equivalent. Also, there's the weight of internalized trauma from external factors to which women are more vulnerable, and I'm talking about things like rape, domestic abuse, being unexpectedly single, and all of these things that can cause trauma that women sometimes can't even speak about. There's also the weight of perceived unrealized potential, and that kind of ties in with what women feel like they could have been had they not had all these weights, or even like sort of making impossible choices as to whether they need to hold their career in order to have a family, or vice versa, hold their families in order to have a career. And women are still having to make these sorts of really difficult and impossible choices in 2023, and that weighs heavy on their minds. There's also the weight that can be carried from the biological complications of being female, and this includes things like premenstrual tension. So for many women, 2 weeks of the month they have difficulty managing their emotions, struggling with concentration. I mean, sometimes I talk about how women can be in a meeting at work and all they're thinking about is, I really hope I don't get stained, or my goodness, these cramps, and in fact, going on to now sort of fertility struggles. So some women might be coming into work, but they've just had their period and they're heartbroken, or they might be going through fertility treatment, having all these hormones pumped into their bodies, and it's really just kind of very, very difficult, but they can't even explain that, and that's a weight that's sitting on them. Or, if they get pregnant, what they're going through in the pregnancy and the hormonal variations, and then the postpartum period, and then right up to perimenopause and the menopause. It's literally a whole life of different hormonal variations. And then of course there's traumas like things like miscarriages that happen, ectopic pregnancies, all of these things that women just keep bearing in their chests and moving forward, but it also adds its own weight. So what can women do? And I think the first thing to do is to assess your mental load. What is it? And is there anything that you can do to reduce it? So I also think that this is a conversation that you can have with trusted family or friends, or even a professional like a therapist or a life coach, to really sit down and think, what am I doing? What do I really want from life? What can I remove? What should I keep? And this is part of setting boundaries and prioritizing your time. Learn to say no in a nice and sweet way, but no, if you don't need to add on that way. And then really be intentional about your social media usage, your engagement with things like news, things like emails, like, use do not disturb or focus functions on your smartphones, and be intentional about your engagement with all these things rather than them kind of dragging you in and sucking energy. Also, just try and live at 80% of capacity to give space for unforeseen challenges. And I know that's difficult for some people, especially if you haven't got much family around, you might not have a partner, but really try and build a village. And there's lots of ways that you can do that. You can make friends with other women, you can make friends with people that you have things in common with. So I often say, try fitness communities. You can try things like choir, things that you can take children to. So there are all these like groups that women can form in community centers, things like that, that you can use to kind of create a village and find people that you can do life with who can provide support. I acknowledge that this can be quite hard, but the truth is we cannot do it alone. So we've got to find people. That's the way in which we can actually try and reduce that mental load. And it's okay to ask for help and acknowledge that it's too much. Also, prioritize self-care. I say that women should try and find 4 hours of the week, which is just me time to do what you like even if it's just like Netflix and chill, go get your hair done, get your nails done, have a massage, have a nice brunch. Me, I like solo, like just meals by myself, in a nice restaurant in central London. I like that. That's part of what I do for self-care. Each person is different. Do what energizes you. Lie down, curl up with a good book. Do what energizes you, and try and get that support to be able to do that, and really prioritize it. If you smoke, quit smoking, eat healthy. What you eat does affect how you feel, and also impacts your energy levels. So sometimes it can be quite difficult, can be quite expensive, but there's lots of resources on the internet where you can look for hacks of how to eat healthier on a budget, and also with limited time. And be careful with caffeine, because it really can, mess with your sleep and mess with your energy levels. So really try and go for no more than 1 or 2 a day. And alcohol as well, try and stick to guideline limits, which is 14 units a week in the UK. And really try and increase your physical activity. And I know that many women are time poor and will struggle with, going to the gym, especially if you have young children. But, it's all about just sitting less, doing more, being more active. So whether it's getting off 2 stops earlier before you get to work, walking to work, joining a class, using it as a social activity, like playing tennis or football or whatever it is that you enjoy, going swimming, water aerobics, a class, whatever you do, just move more, because obviously it will reduce your heart disease risk, it will improve your mood, and it actually also does help with managing those hormonal effects. So, in conclusion, women are amazing. We are incredible. We're capable. We're resilient. But so many are currently one step away from burnout because of this inordinate mental load that they are carrying. So, we need to start having a better understanding of the physical and mental health risks posed by this load and really address the unspoken impact of this on the experience of female biological hormonal symptoms. And really, it's all about how it fits in with health. It's a biopsychosocial interaction, and we will talk more about all of these in future lectures. This was just an introduction, and I really hope that it has stirred your thinking. Please ask questions. Please join the conversation. I don't have all the answers. I'm really just trying to bring this issue to a focus so that we can start having the right conversations and women can have healthier and happier lives. It was lovely to have this conversation with you. Join us on www.drshowcares.com to get more information. That's www.drshowcares.com. Sign up to get our newsletter. I will see you next time. Goodbye.